Okay, so we'll move to the next section, which is the elasticities. And maybe I should review the elasticity. You learned this before, right? In microeconomics. Now, what is elasticity? And we have price elasticity demand. We have income elasticity demand. So basically, for example, if we take a look at price elastic demand. Now, what is price elastic demand? Price elastic demand is used to measure what? The changing in demand, right? Demand. In quantity demanded versus changing in price. In other words, if the price increase changes by 1%, what happens to the quantity demanded? So in general, the formula is the price elastic demand is the percentage changing in quantity divided by the percentage changing in price. So if I give you one example, if we increase the price, well, again, in this case, though, because this is demand, what's the relationship between price and quantity? Inverse relationship. The price goes up, people purchase less quantity. So this number is always what? A negative number for the price elastic demand. Okay. So let me give you one example. So if you increase the price by 10%, and the quantity demanded decreased by 20%. That's huge, right? That's huge. So if we calculate what's the price elastic demand, it's equal to -2, right? -2. But -2 means what? -2 is equal to what? -2 divided by 1? Or -2% divided by 1%? So if you increase the price by 1%, what happens to the quantity? It decreases by double, right? 2%. So the demand is elastic or inelastic?
Pretty elastic.
Sensitive or not sensitive?
Pretty
sensitive. Cutoff is 1. We'll have to use, I have to take the absolute value because this number is, it's always a negative number, so I have to take absolute value. So if I take the absolute value, then it comes out always a positive number, right? If this is greater than 1, elastic. If this is less than 1, inelastic. If it's equal to 1, that's called a unit elastic. Good. The cutoff is 1. So 1, if it's elastic, that means consumers are sensitive to changing price. Good. So that's the basic concept. But then, can I change the variable here? If I change the income, then it's called income elasticity. Consumers' response to changing income. Can I change it to, this is the quantity demanded for X for Coca-Cola. Can I change this to PY, the price of Pepsi? The price Pepsi changes. 1% increase in Pepsi prices, what happens to quantity demanded for Coca-Cola? So that's the basic idea of elasticity. It's not difficult at all. So we studied the relationship between two variables. But most of the time we're interested in is a quantity demanded or quantity supply. Then versus what? Changes in one of the determinants. Income, price related prices. Okay. So now we're formally take a look at price elasticity demand. And actually there are two different estimations. One is the one you learned in your class. Is this the same? Okay. Okay. One you learned from your class is this one. It's called a arc or interval price elasticity. So the change is large, like from $5 to $7. The change is large. Then what happens to the quantity? So basically we have 2 points here, right? For P1 and the Q1. And so, do I have an example? I believe I have one example. Am I using the same? Oh, that's. I can give you one example. Okay. P1, Q1. Sorry. So let's take a look at this one.
It shows an example in our slides.
In your slides, yeah?
Yeah.
How come I don't have?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, but not much difference, right? Okay, that's fine. I can give you one example. So cutoff is 1. Let's see. So if you want to calculate the price, let's say initial point is if price is $2 and the quantity demanded Q1 is 50. Yeah. The price of 1 is equal. Now the price increase. Price 2 is $3. Now maybe don't make it more. $4. Yeah, $4. The quantity demanded will decrease, right? Will decrease to 40. So how to calculate the price electricity demand? We have 2 points. We just use this formula. So Q2 minus Q1, right? Yes. Divided by P2 minus P1. Yes. Then P is times P2 plus P1 and the Q2 plus Q1. So you will find the price elasticity. Is that clear? That's the interval. That's it. But if you download that copy, or if next week you receive the paper copy, and you will have examples. Yeah. That beats me. Okay. But so we can also have, it's called a point price elasticity. So if that's the case, we'll have the change is very small. So here the change is what? Huge, right? From $1, $2 to $4. A large increase if you look at the graph, right? But how about we take a very small change? Then that's the concept of what? Derivative. So for example, I can give you one just very simple example. For the point estimate. Remember the function we just did? Quantity is equal to 430 minus 10 cubed? Yes? No, 10 p, right? So what is the point estimate? What's the point elasticity? So we have 2 variables here, quantity and the price. So for the point elasticity, basically it is basically dq over dp. What is dq over dp? You take a derivative of q with respect to p. Then times what? P divided by q. And this is how you calculate. In our example, do we know dq dp? Yes. Do we know dq dp? You take the first derivative of q with respect to p is equal to what? Minus 10, right? So that's equal to minus 10 times what? P cubed. No, maybe you will ask me, okay, come on, what is P, what is Q? Well, for this equation, can we assume if price is equal to $1? Yes? If price is equal to $1, what's the quantity? 420? So you can get the point elasticity. Then we can say, how about the price is $10? What is the quantity? The price is $10. 10 times 10 is 100, right? 430 minus 100 is what? 330. Quantity is 330. So can you find another point elasticity? But you can tell the point elasticity is changing when we move around the demand curve. Okay. Any questions? If the question gives you this equation for free, then ask you to figure out what is the point elasticity. Right? It states here. You can cheat, right? That's A1. What is A1? The coefficient right in front of the price, right? But for the point estimate, for the interval estimate, this is the formula. Can you tell the difference? Well, I will probably make the question very clear. Interval elasticity or point elasticity. Right, point elasticity. So now the relationship between the marginal revenue and the price. And do you still remember how to draw if this is the price and the quantities, if this is the demand curve, yeah, demand curve. A demand curve is also the price curve, right, actually. Where's the marginal revenue curve? Horizontal, I take a half, yeah? This is the marginal revenue. And at this point, actually, marginal revenue is equal to what? Equal to 0, right, at this point. So if I move to here, this is the middle point. But mathematically, though, that's the relationship between marginal revenue and the price. Mathematically. And so if we move around the same demand curve, and you will find this part of the demand is inelastic. The middle point is unity elastic. The bottom part is inelastic. So if we move around the same demand curve, right? Remember for each point, the point elasticity is different. But if you cut this into half, the top portion, the demand is elastic. The bottom portion is inelastic. The middle one, the demand is unit elastic. So it's important to know the relationship between this marginal revenue and the price, the marginal revenue and the price. But why do I have to know this? Why do I have to know this? Elasticity and marginal revenue. Marginal revenue. We have the elasticity, yeah? Marginal revenue, and also price, yeah? Price. Why do we have to know this? Because sometimes company may have to make a decision whether I should increase or decrease the price to increase the revenue. Then it depends on whether the demand is elastic or inelastic. So if you look at here, this is the total revenue. This is total revenue. And so when the marginal revenue is equal to 0, the total revenue is maximized. That's it. But in this portion, the demand is elastic. And then in the second half, you can see what happens to the revenue when we produce more. The total revenue decreases because the marginal revenue is less than 0. Or the demand is inelastic. The demand is inelastic. So now, the one important question is, so what's the relationship? When should I increase the price or decrease the price? So just imagine if this one is greater than 1. Greater than 1 means what? It's elastic or inelastic? Elastic. Consumers are sensitive. Yeah, elastic. And if that's the case, consumers are very sensitive to changing price. So if you increase the price, what happens to a total revenue? They're very sensitive to changing price. So if a small change in price may result in a large decrease in quantity, what happens to total revenue? It decreases. The total revenue decreases. But on the other hand, how about if you decrease the price? Consumers are very sensitive to change price. So even if you give them 1 cent more, they're very sensitive. They all come to purchase. So if that's the case, what happens to total revenue?
It goes up as long as it's not.
Total revenue will increase. On the other hand, if the price elastic demand is less than 1, less than 1 means what? Inelastic. Then, if that's the case, they don't care, right? So if they don't care, like a newspaper, do you care? I mean, yeah, sure, it's from 20 cents to 25 cents. That's percentage-wise huge, but do you care? Probably not. You will still buy. So what happens to the revenue? It will increase. But how about if you decrease the price? People don't care. So total revenue. So that's the basic relationship. Why is elasticity important? Company has to decide whether to increase price or decrease price to increase total revenue. So the company will increase the price to increase total revenue only if the demand is what? Inelastic, right? Or the company will decrease the price to increase total revenue only if the demand is what? Elastic. So the company will increase the price to increase total revenue if the demand is inelastic. Or the company will decrease the price to increase total revenue if the demand is elastic. And whether the demand for a particular product is elastic or inelastic, it has a lot to do with what? The close substitutes. The more narrowly defined product, and the more time is available. So let me give you some examples. Close substitutes. How about autos or soft drinks? There are a lot of substitutes, right? Or autos, we have so many choices. But actually, not that many, because if you go to parking lot, 95% are Japanese cars, right? Yes, in Hawaii, right? In Hawaii. Not that, but relatively speaking, there are more substitutes. How about, but can you find a substitute for this one? Can you?
No, there is.
Egg beaters, but not quite egg. No. How about sunscreen? Are there any close substitutes? Stay at home.
Well, we have the zinc oxide by itself.
That's true. But we should expect what? If the demand, if you have a lot of substitutes, and then the demand tends to be what? Elastic. Because people have more choices. If you don't have many choices, how about a flu shot? So we should expect the demand for flu shot is what? Relatively inelastic. Because you don't have many options. A month, yeah, are you supposed to receive another, the second or third dose of? We have over more than 500 cases here. Okay. The more narrowly defined products. How about clothing versus blue jeans? Which one is relatively more elastic? Clothing is relatively inelastic, right? How about blue jeans? Oh, I mean, you can have what? White jeans? I don't know, sorry. You have many other choices, right? But how about clothing? Do I have a substitute? Any substitute for clothing? In older Bible times, yes, we don't have to have clothes, right? But nowadays we have to have clothes, so there's no choice. So we should expect what? If narrowly defined product is probably it's more narrowly defined, and then the demand tend to be more elastic, like blue jeans. But if it's relatively widely defined clothing, it's relatively inelastic. And also the amount of time, right, for consumers to adjust. So we should expect the demand tends to be more elastic in the short run than in the long run. In the long run than in the short run. Gasoline price tomorrow, $200 per gallon. But we still will drive, right? Yes, tomorrow. Are you going to stop driving tomorrow? No. You still have to what? Report to the workplace, right? You still have to drop your kids at the school, right? But how about 10 years from today, if the gasoline price stays that high?
Get a battery car.
Well, know how to fry, right? So, adjustment. So it should be more elastic in the long run. So. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to listen here. And also the textbook has an examples of elasticities, short run and long versus long. You can take a look at the book. Okay. Are you okay with the price elasticity demand? Now, if you're okay with price elasticity demand, income is elastic demand. The only difference is what? Now it's income, changing in income. And remember, if we go back all the way, so first let's try to find. So basically, changing in quantity demand versus what? Changing in income, changing income. And we know the result. There are two possibilities here. It can be a positive number if it's normal goods. Or can be what? An inferior good. Or can be a negative number if the product is an inferior good. Inferior. Do you have good examples of an inferior good? If you have more income, you consume less.
Noodles.
No, if I have more money, I eat more noodles. Each individual is different. But how about children? Are children inferior goods? Sorry, it's a better question.
More expensive.
No, what's the definition of an inferior good? If you have more income, you will consume less. Yeah? But so if you take a look at the US GDP for the past 10 years, the GDP is going up, yeah? Yes? Income increase. How about number of kids per household for the past 50 years? Decrease. Yeah? Number of kids. So is this the definition of inferior good? If you have more income, consume less. But we have to take into account what? Cost of other variables. The cost of raising children. So this is, so let's take a look at one example, quick example, how to calculate the income elasticity. I will use the function here. Remember here, we have So if I give you all those numbers, yeah, can you find what is the income elasticity? Income elasticity. What's the definition? Income elasticity is what? We use, let's say notation, use EI. So we take what? You take the derivative of what? The quantity with respect to what? Income. Then times what? Income divided by the quantity. So in this example, what's the income? What is dq over di? Is it 0.5? Yes, it's 0.5. Yes. 0.5. Then do we also have the income level given 36, and the quantity is what? The quantity demanded, or it also depends on the price. If we know the price, then we can figure it out. But obviously, if I give you a function, sometimes students don't know what to do, how to find the income. It's very simple. You take a first derivative of quantity with respect to the income. Then times income divided by the quantity. That's all. Same thing, right, for the price elastic demand. The approach is the same. Okay. And then also we can compute the what? Interval income elasticity. So if I tell you if income is $10,000, you purchase 10 units. If income is $15,000, you buy 20, for example. Then, given those numbers, we can figure out the interval income elasticity. Well, if you find it's a positive number, that's a normal goods. If you find it's a negative number, that's inferior goods. So in Canada, the wine and the beef, wine is income elasticity. It's greater than 1, right? Greater than 1. Elastic, because that means what? If you have people have more income and they consume more. And this is very important information for what? Companies, right? Companies, if you do market, you have to take all this into account. And the last one, can I changing? This is very similar. Actually, it's almost the same as price elastic demand. The only difference is what? The price now is not its own price, not a px, but a py. The price of relative products. The price. Then again, if I give you a function, can you find the price the cross price elastic demand? The point. You take what dq versus what the price of y, right? Yes? I just want to make sure. Let's go back all the way. For this, so for this function, how do you find the cross price elastic demand? For you use what? You take a derivative, right? Give this function. dqx, so the notation for this is the notation is exy. It's equal to what? dqx, yeah? The quantity with respect to what? The py, yeah? Then times py over what? qx. dq over dpy is what? A4. That's A4 times the price of y divided by qx. And again, this number tells us whether, if it's a positive number, substitutes. Negative number, complements. But if you cannot remember, just tell yourself a story. Perhaps in a Coke, right? So you can tell what happens if the price of a product increases. Okay. And also interval, yeah, interval here. Arc cross price elasticity. Okay, now let's take a look at some interesting questions. Hopefully the midterm exam is not as difficult as this one. And this is a very difficult question. It's not very straightforward. Straightforward is what? P1 is equal to 10, Q1 is equal to 2, right? P1 is equal to 5, Q2 is equal to 17. Calculate the interval price elasticity demand. Those are very simple questions. This question is challenging. Take a look at this other question. A 5% income. Okay? And cannot change its rate of production, so the quantity will have to stay the same. So what price should it charge? It has to basically increase the price, right? Because income increase, people tend to purchase more, right? Then the quantity cannot change, so you have to what? Raise the price. So there are two effects here, two things going on here. Income increase, people purchase more. But it's not okay because quantity cannot change. So the company has to what? Increase the price to decrease the quantities. To cancel what? The net impact is zero. Net impact is zero. But we know the demand function is this. Q is equal to minus 3P plus 100M. What's the M? Income, right? I mean, P is price. Okay. And also give you the current price is $1,000, and the current income is 40. So can we figure out? So the current rate of production is $1,000. 1,000. How do we know this is 1,000? How do we know this is 1,000? Can we plug in prices? This is a demand function, right? Mm-hmm. Price is equal to what? 1,000. Mm-hmm. So that's negative 3,000. Mm-hmm. And M is 40, so 4,000. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4,000 minus 3,000, that's 1,000. So current quantity is 1,000. Is that clear? Okay. And also the price elasticity of demand. Oh, yes, this is bad. This is should be just a price elastic demand. What is this? Sorry. How about yours?
Oh, it's got a bunch of wording in there.
Oh, really? What's going on? Sorry, I must have.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like explaining.
oh, okay, I know. I used the wrong. Yeah. Oh, now you can tell. I actually put a lot of work on the slides.
Yeah.
Sorry. When you approach my age. Well, plus I'm too busy later. So yesterday, from 2 to 5, 5:30, deacons meeting, a church deacons meeting. So all the way to then, hold on. Then I pray. I went to Diamond Head, pray 20 minutes tennis. Then go back to HPU to have another meeting. Oh, what's going on? Yeah, I used the wrong slide. No one looks, sorry. Yeah, this is the right one, so. Let's see, hold on. This is the new one, yeah? What's this in? Yeah, see, I have more examples. I have more examples. Yeah, you see, I have more explanation here on the side. Sorry. Yeah, see, I also have just here cross price elasticity. Sorry. Oh, I have. You can tell I put a lot of. Okay. So we can calculate the price elasticity of demand. Yeah. So I mean, basically, given all the dq over dp, so find it's -3. Okay. And also we can figure out the income elastic demand, dq over di, right? You can find the actual dq over dm zone. It's more like because m is the income here. It should be probably it should be dq over dm, yeah. But m and I are income, so it's equal to 4. So now let's take a look at the income according to income. So we figure out what is the income elastic is equal to 4. So now according to the information we have is what income is going to increase 5%. So what happens to the quantity, right? Percentage in quantity, and we can figure this out. Why? Because remember what is income elasticity? Income elasticity. Do I still have the battery? Yes. The income elasticity is is changing in what? Quantity versus what? Percentage, yeah? Versus changing in what? Percentage in
Price.
Income, yeah? Sorry, income. Right now we know this is 4, right? According to our calculation, the income elasticity is equal to 4. And what is the change in income level? 5%? Yes?
Yeah.
So can we figure out what is the percentage changing in quantity? And it will be 20%. Am I right? Because we have 3 variables, right? So by using all the information, we'll figure out what is the price elastic demand, what is the income elastic demand. So now let's take a look at income elastic demand. It's equal to 4. So 4. So if we use this formula, by definition, 4 is equal to changing in quantity versus changing in income. We know that changing in income is 5%, so we can figure out what is changing in quantity. Changing in quantity in this case is what? 20%, right? 20%. So now we have to go back to what? The price elastic demand. What is the price elastic demand? -3, huh? -3. It's changing in quantity versus what? Percentage in quantity versus percentage in what?
Price.
In price. So now we know we have to what? Decrease the quantity by 20%. Yes. So we can go back to find what is the change in price. So you can figure out the change in price is 6.67. And right now the price is $1,000. So you have to times 1 plus the 6.67. So the new price should be this one. But you can tell this is a very difficult question. It's not. It's not. It's not fun. Yeah? It's not fun. It's a very difficult, challenging question. But in the midterm or in the final exam, most likely for like 80 points, you will see, or maybe even 90 points, you will see all those straightforward questions. But you may see 1 or 2 questions like that.
Oh.
Okay. But you never know, I may not put it on a difficult. Okay. Good. But it's a take home, right?
Thank God.
Okay. The last part. We're not done yet. The last part is the indifference curve. Now, what is the indifference curve? Basically, consumers trying to maximize their utility. And we're assuming that, make it simple, consumers only consume two products. Maybe goods and services. Yeah, goods and services. Goods are the apples, rice, noodles. Services, basic internet connection, or whatever, transportation, or the service, yeah, service. And we're assuming the marginal utility. Now, again, what is marginal utility? The additional utility if you have one more bowl of noodles, yeah, the additional happiness. We're assuming they're positive. So mathematically, how to express the additional utility from one unit of x? So the marginal utility of x is, remember the partial u over partial x. Now why do we use the partial u partial x instead of du dx? Because we have two variables here. Remember, if the variable says only x variables, then we can always just use d, derivative d. But if we have two variables, if you review the math review, if we have two variables, then we have to use partial. The idea is the same. Partial means what? D. D means what? Change. Right? Delta change. D. So basically, this is changing in utility versus changing in quantity x. If you have more, it's a positive number. So you have more ice cream, you'll be happy. That's it, right? Okay. So if we look at our utility, our indifference curve. So the idea is we put this into a graph, and I consume ice cream, a pizza, and a beer. Right? Pizza and beer. Let's say pizza. So each curve will give you the same. Around each curve will give you the same satisfaction. So happiness level. Let's say this is 100. This is 200. This is 300. So if you move far to the right, you'll be happier. Right? You'll be happy. If we move to the left, you'll be less happy. That's the whole idea. But around each one, you have the same happiness. So maybe five cups of beer and one pizza will give you the same happiness as one beer and 4 pizza. Well, it's bad example, but you know the idea. It gives you the same happiness. Same happiness. So there's but around this curve you can see if I move from A to B. So how about if I move to a different curve? Well, it's different story. You'll be happy, right? This is 200 happiness. This is 300. But if you decide to move, okay, for tonight, my happiness level is 100. I just want to keep it at 100. So if you move around this curve, this same curve, if you move from A to B, so you trying to increase what? Eat more pizza. But at the same time, you want to say, okay, I want to be the same happiness level, so you have to what? Decrease the consumption of what? A beer, right? The beer. So you will stay on the same indifference curve. It's called indifference curve because around each curve it gives you the same happiness utility level. So the slope of this is called a marginal rate of substitution. Marginal rate of substitution. It is at which one product can be substituted for another while holding the utility constant. So basically, it's the rate at which the beers can be the pizzas can be substituted for beer. If we move around the same curve, because if we move around the same curve, you have more pizza. You have to what? Give up the consumption of more and more beer. So that's the rate. That's the rate. So mathematically, you can tell here the slope dq y. We have two products. Y is the product on the vertical. So we have basically y is on the vertical axis, x is on the horizontal axis. So this gives you the same happiness level. But the slope of this indifference curve, so that's the qy. So this is qy, this is qx. The qy over qx. So that's called the marginal rate of substitution. And actually it's equal to minus the marginal utility of x divided by marginal utility from y. I'm not going to go to the detail of how to derive this, because I think the result is more important than the process in this particular case. Okay. And also you can see example of perfect substitute. You can always, let's say if the slope this is equal to 3, so always one pizza for, you can increase one pizza, you have to give up 3 beers, always. And how about this one? This one, it's like, if you have the airphone, you have to have the left and right work together. If you only have one, it will give, let's say it will not give you any utilities. Like shoes, yeah? You have to left and right wear together, right? Give you happiness. So basically, so if you have one left side shoe and then 10 right side, it will give you the same utility as what 1. That's the whole idea. So it's called a perfect complement. You have to have what? One pair, right? It gives you utility. Otherwise, one left side and 10, it will not increase your happiness. But the utility function though only is what? Your taste preference. Your taste preference. But which curve can you reach depends on what your income. Some people maybe they have no income, they may end up here. And for billionaire, maybe over here, right? So we have to make a choice based on our income and also the price of what pizza and beer. Because if pizza is getting more expensive, then we have to consume more beer. And so in this case, basically that's the budget line. The budget line. Now our budget line actually is pretty simple. This is the expenditure on product X, price X times quantity X. This is the expenditure on product Y, price Y times QY. And this is our budget income, right? Income. And you will find actually the slope of the income and if I change those numbers, so given so the original number is what? Both pizza and the beer $1, X and $1. Your income is $6. So you can see 6 here, 6. So if you spend all money on beer, six cups beer, right? If spend all the money on pizza, 6 pizza, right? 6 pizza. So this is the original. Now how about what happens if the pizza gets, now it's $2. Then if you spend all the money on pizza, you can only buy what? 3. So this is a new one. Is that clear? Okay. And how about if pizza is getting cheaper? It's 0.67. Then if you spend all the money on pizza, you can buy more pizza. So you can see this is what happens to the budget. Okay. And how about if you have more income? Before you only have $6. Now if you lost job, you only have $3. Then too bad. This is what you can afford, right? This is what you can. So we have two things here. The indifference curve shows your utility. It's what you would like to achieve. But the budget line is what? It's the constraint. Is the constraint. So for consumer, we have to what we have limited income, and given the prices and limited income, we have to make a choice so we can reach the highest utility level, happiness level, given the budget. So in this case, if you mathematically, if you look at the graph, given this income level and the price level, this is the budget line. What's the budget line? What do we can afford? So this, the tangent point is the highest what? Is the highest utility level you can reach, happiness level. How about we have a indifference curve here, but given your current income, you cannot. It's more like a dream in the future. So how to make this choice, given our income? And mathematically, it's actually, if we just forget about all the previous discussion, mathematically, basically, it is this one. Hold on. The last one. This is the end result. What is the end result here? Mathematically, that's this point, right? This point. Now, what is this point? According to this point, so the last dollar you spent, your marginal utility from X divided by the price of X is the same as your marginal utility from Y divided by the price of Y. That's the last dollar you spent. The last dollar you spent on X. So basically, this is the marginal utility per dollar. Yeah? It would be the same for beer and pizza. And remember, what is marginal utility for X? This is, remember, partial U over partial X. What is marginal utility of Y? Partial U and partial Y. And I think maybe it makes sense for us to take a look at one homework assignment. I'm not going to, I think last week I was too generous. I'm trying to be more reasonable this week. If you look at homework assignments, there's one homework assignment. I forgot which page. Do you have a page number? I may have.
Or which
Last week?
No, this week. Last question.
last
Chapter 3?
question 1, appendix problem.
Which page?
167.
167. So I can import 167 here. 167 here.
This week's.
Yeah, for this week.
Okay.
So I think. Which question?
Question 1.
Question 1, yeah. Okay. Oh.
160.
Oh, this.
Okay.
This one, yeah? What is this? Okay. So basically, how much you have to consume to make yourself happy, right? How much you have to consume to make yourself happy. So we'll do this one in class. But first, can we, given all this information, I cannot explain this one. Oh no, this one sentence. But anyway. Okay, so we have what? M is what? 200?
100.
How about the PX?
$2.
PY?
$5.
$5. And the utility function is what? QX times QY, yeah? Can we first write out the budget line? Yes. The budget line is what? PX times what? QX plus PY times Y equal to what? M, yeah, equal to M. So Px is what? $2. $2 times Qx plus $5 times Y equal to 100. Is this one equation we have? Yes. The other equation is what? What's the optimal solution if you want to make yourself happy? The marginal utility of x divided by px equal to marginal utility of y divided by py. So we have marginal utility of x divided by px equal to marginal utility of y divided by py. And now, do I have the price of x? $2, yeah, $2. And price of y is $5. The key here is, what is marginal utility of x? Well, if the utility function is equal to qx times py, so all you need to do is what? You take a partial u, a du over what? Dx. Then qy is a constant, right? Remember, if you take a derivative of if y is equal to ax, dy over dx is equal to what? Equal to a, right? Equal to a. Here, we take a partial derivative u with respect to quantity x, and the qy is more like a, right? It's constant in front. So this one becomes 1, so it's equal to q, basically qy. Right? And the marginal utility of y is what? Partial u, you take the derivative u with respect to y. But you hold x as a constant. So x is qx is more like a. So in this case, this will be qx. So now we have another equation which is 5qy equal to 2qx. So now given this two equation, oh well, it's easy. 2qx is what? You put into here, right? So we have this two equation. Can we solve for x and y? Actually, all you need to do, you replace this 2qx is what? 5qy. So oh, sorry, I should write this is qy. So 5qy plus 5qy equal to 100. So qy is equal to what? 10. If qy equal to 10, then qx is equal to 24. I believe that's the answer. I'm not sure. So I may be wrong. So that's one question that I'm going to cover. Yeah? And we do have another nasty question though. Yeah, another. For the so there are five questions. This one is okay. I believe question 7 is very difficult. It's extremely difficult.
There is no question.
Yeah, it's 2389 for pages 159 and 160.
Oh, hold on. 2, 3. Which page? Sorry.
159.
159.
It's 2 and 3 and 8 and 9 is in page 160.
Number 8. I believe number 8 is. Oh, hold on. Oh, 258. Yeah. Oh, 158. Yeah. How do I go back?
The one with asterisk near number has a solution in the back.
Oh, easy. Oh, problems. No, I don't need to go back. I need to go forward. This one. Oh, yeah. I'm changing the. Sorry.
Here you are.
Number 8 is straightforward. Right? Can you tell?
So
Give me some numbers. Just figure out what's the arc income elasticity. You have the formula. Just apply the formula. But I believe this one question is difficult. Which question? 8, 9. 9 is very difficult.
we don't have 9.
You don't have 9? You do.
We do?
Right?
Oh
You
yeah,
do have
we do.
9.
Never mind.
But
Blame Alas.
I will post the answer for question 9. Well, it's just too difficult. That's what I'm saying. But I mean, if you say this is not okay for me to give you the answer, so that would be okay with me. So you can, if you decide to work on your own. But otherwise, I can post the answer key for this one. But for all the other questions, it's more straightforward. But I took off. I replaced question 7 with 8. Initial assignment was 7, but 7 actually the question is a little bit challenging. Actually, very challenging. But anyway, but you can try 7 if you want, and I can provide you the answer key. But it's only for your own benefit, not for the grade. So for question again, go to the blackboard. You have all those assignments, and we went over the last question here already. And I will post the question on the blackboard, the answer. But you can refuse to look at it, right? I mean, it's your choice. So it's your choice.